Hi guys, OP Dave here.
And I am Ash.
Do more popomedic. Remember we did Rooftop Koreans?
Yeah, oh yes.
That was popomedic.
Oh, okay. I don't remember these names.
I've reacted to popomedic loads of times, so for me it's just...
Okay.
It's up there.
Cool. I'm gonna yawn.
We're doing this late, and it's been a hell of a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We're trying to get a load of reactions in because I'm starting college to train to be an electrician on Monday, and we're trying to build up a few reactions in the bag.
Yes.
And we've not done it really.
Well,
but
no,
it's been crazy.
It's been crazy. I've been recovering from surgery, so I've not wanted to just sit in a very uncomfortable position for videos and things.
Yeah.
So we're trying. I think we've built up quite a few now.
We've done pretty good.
Yeah.
And I've just been stressing and wanting to pull people's faces off and run people over in my car and stuff. So.
It's okay.
Which would hurt now because I'm now driving a pickup.
Yeah.
Finally. Anyway.
Bull bars on there.
I don't think I thought bull bars were made illegal in this country, but then I've seen a couple of older pickups with them because my dad used to actually have a Toyota Hilux with bull bars on it.
Yeah, my dad had. Yeah.
I'd really like it. I wish he'd never sold it. He didn't get a lot for it either.
It's a shame.
It was old when he got it.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful, but...
See, obviously our Hilux, my dad's Hilux was in Zimbabwe, so it's not like we could bring it with us.
No.
So.
No, the thing is, my dad's had loads of...
Actually, I think it was a company vehicle.
My dad's had loads of old Army Range Rovers and stuff as well. Like he had an old one that he picked us up. We were little kids in the back of it, and it was just wooden bench seats in the back. It was an ex-military one. And we were very young, and it didn't last long because my mum was like, you cannot have kids in the back of that thing. There's no seatbelts.
We never wore seatbelts.
It's not rural. It's in a town with school-run mums and quite an affluent town as well.
Okay.
I would have loved it. I wish my dad still had it. But anyway, regardless, we digress. Army Rangers.
Yes.
Which are some of the Army's sort of badasses in the States. Smoked some Crips.
What's Crips?
Do you know the Bloods and the Crips?
No.
So like in gang culture in the States, there's like, you've got nowadays things like MS-13, which is the sort of Mexican gangs or one of them, or South American gangs. The Bloods and the Crips, I think, are traditionally like black gangs.
Okay.
And then you've got like, I go off all the prison stuff that I watched, and you've got like the Aryan gangs and, biker gangs and all that sort of stuff. The Bloods and the Crips are kind of like, when you think of like people like Tupac.
Yeah.
And Snoop Dogg and things like that. Snoop Dogg, I don't know if he is a Crip or was linked to the Crips. They're the ones that wear the blue bandanas.
Okay.
And the Bloods wear the red bandanas.
Okay.
So you must have seen that in things, whether it's hip-hop videos or like... If someone wears a certain colour, if someone wears either red or blue, it can be a big deal depending on what neighbourhood you're in.
I didn't know that.
And if you're in the wrong neighbourhood wearing red...
I never took note because I didn't know that.
This sort of stuff fascinates me. It always has. And
Fair enough.
I've watched a lot of the sort of prison culture that's behind a lot of it as well.
Okay.
It's fascinating. Okay. It is. But the Crips are a gang that are across the whole of the States, but they're not an organised crime unit across the whole of the States.
Okay.
So they are pockets of gangs that call themselves Crips, as far as I know. Same with the Bloods and things like that. I'm not the person to explain all this stuff, by the way. This is just my understanding of it.
Okay. Well, maybe he'll explain it.
Yeah, well, this is a story about some Crips. But basically, it's like gangs. It's not like there's a master Crip and then every Crip gang is underneath that.
Like an umbrella corporation.
But it's like an affiliation where everyone wears blue and calls themselves Crips. But I think gangs of Crips can beef with each other.
Oh, okay.
So I'm no expert on this sort of stuff. That's just my understanding. But anyway, Army Rangers, which are some of the badasses, smoked some Crips in 1989.
Oh, excuse me.
Are you ready?
I think so.
Are you sure?
I'm shattered.
Let's do it.
Saturday, September 23rd, 1989. An Army Ranger who had just purchased a home on one of Tacoma, Washington's most gang-infested streets quickly became a witness to various illegal activity happening out front of his home. He wasn't shy of confronting it or notifying the authorities, and soon after, he became the target of one of the most notorious street gangs Washington State has ever seen. And after shaking up the hornet's nest one too many times, his home was ambushed by the Hilltop Crips gang. But not before he invited 15 of his ranger buddies over for a barbecue. 300 rounds, and 10 minutes later, the Crips were fighting for their lives.
Nice.
I just want to point out, I have seen this. I reacted to it, and it's as satisfying as that, that intro sounds. It's
wonderful.
Like dickhead people acting like dickheads, bullying
thinking
a
that
nice
they
person.
I think they own the street.
It's basically the plot of every movie from the late 80s, early 90s.
15 rangers.
Turns out that guy's seen some things and he calls the boys over. I love it.
That's amazing.
In 1989, the neighborhood of Ash Street in Tacoma, Washington was an open-air drug market. There were several hotspots and almost every house on the block was an active and thriving trap house. These gang infestations in the 1980s, born from the crack epidemic, flooded the streets and created an economic downturn that defined the decade. You might remember President Ronald Reagan declaring the war on drugs, or his first lady who was just like, just say no, oh my god. That was this time. Tacoma was Washington State's ground zero of gang activity, and by the summer of 1989, it had grown blatant, middle of the day type shit, like selling crack to the ice cream man type shit. And this was all fueled by an influx of gang members moving in from California. Tacoma police had experienced nothing like it before and were really struggling to get it under control, oftentimes not even knowing how to respond to it. Ash Street neighbors consistently called police and called 911 repeatedly and got nowhere. The typical response from police at the time was very mild. Community-oriented policing was a new thing, such as taking bullshit calls and pretending like it's not bullshit.
Yes, ma'am. I know you can't sleep when the dogs are barking.
But community policing was still viewed with suspicion by veteran cops who came up in the 60s and preferred the old ways, like smacking people in the head with their portable radios. At the time, Tacoma Police Chief Ray Fatelin pushed these new community policing programs so far that the Hilltop Crip Gang rose to power.
When the OGs from Woodwood like HTC, when we mounted up in the streets 200 deep, when the Park Rangers had a shootout with cats from Ashland, when the Ashleys connected with them Hilltop niggas, had a shootout and chased out from Cali niggas.
Staff Sergeant William Folk of the 2nd Ranger Battalion 75th Ranger Regiment purchased his home on Ash Street in hopes that the neighborhood would soon turn around. To protect that investment, he was determined to help push the drugs and gangs out by any means necessary.
Do you think that's a guy who's not easily intimidated going to sort the shit out? Do you think that's a military veteran who can't afford a home in a nicer area?
I think it's a military veteran who can't afford a house in a nicer area and he's willing to defend himself using his military training.
So it's doing the best of what he can get.
Yeah.
Isn't that a sad indictment, though?
Yeah.
That, you know, a veteran like that should be able to afford a house in a nice area.
But from the start of this, it makes me feel like that he's going to be the one that literally turns that entire street around. So he's but it could also have ended up in a very horrible situation where a military veteran was murdered.
You don't know how it ends yet.
Oh, all right, let's watch.
Which may seem crazy to most people, but Staff Sergeant Folk was not most people. He was an elite operator who at a moment's notice could hit hard and smash fucking everything. You know, Ranger shit. But violence was the last thing the Staff Sergeant wanted, and he remained optimistic. In the summer of 1989, Folk returned from a December deployment in Panama to find the neighborhood worse than when he left. Along with other neighbors who were honest, hardworking people, he formed a neighborhood group that pressed police, demanding action. The neighbors started making signs, protesting, and taking pictures of the drug dealers. Even as the tension on Ash Street rose, Chief Fatelin made a decision he would later regret. Hamstrung by budget constraints and desperately short on the patrol side, he shifted 4 of 6 officers away from the Hilltop Crime Management Team to launch a community policing pilot project. The neighbors on Ash Street reacted with dismay. Under fire from citizens and the city council, a local Tribune covered the controversy, noting efforts by Ash Street neighbors to monitor the drug activity themselves. After the News Tribune piece, drug traffic on Ash Street slowed, but only so much. Staff Sergeant Folk was used to seeing more than 100 cars pass through his block on any given day, and after the story appeared, it was down to 20 cars. Folk decided to install a video camera in his upstairs window to record the traffic. He organized a neighborhood barbecue as a show of public unity, set for 3 p.m. Saturday, September 23rd. He invited neighbors, friends, ranger buddies, and thought nothing more of it. The day of the barbecue, a group of Hilltop Crip gangbangers acknowledged Folk outside of his residence and gave him the gun finger. It came from a car full of Crips. Driving by his house, the index finger pointed, thumb up, a little flip of the hand, and the mouthed words, boom, boom.
Sad, isn't it?
The gangsters saw the video camera on
That's
Folk's
their motto.
house, and a few hours later they
Nice.
returned and threw rocks at it. Someone else took shots at the house and the video camera with a BB gun. Folk and a few ranger buddies then walked across the street to confront the out-of-shape, chain-smoking gangbangers who think they're hot. Folk told them to stop throwing things at his home and the neighbors' homes, to stop shooting BBs, and to instead turn their lives around and find better ways. The gangbangers warned him to take the camera out of his window. The gangbangers suggested the staff sergeant didn't know who he was dealing with. The staff sergeant suggested the gangbangers didn't know who they were dealing with.
I love that so much. It's like, you don't know who you're dealing with.
No, you don't
15
know.
Army Rangers just stood there like,
Yeah,
okay,
alright,
buddy.
yeah, sure.
All right, we're stood up
Bring
to
it
worse
on.
than you.
Yeah,
They used to fight in trained people.
I know, yeah, literally.
Not just people that are just
No.
like, yeah, just gangsters because it's easier than getting a job.
No. Bring it.
They then told him, "Your history, bitch," and told him they were going to burn his house down and light him up as soon as the sun goes down. Folk decided to walk away, and before he returned to his home, he overheard one of the Crips stating, "I'm going to shoot that army son of a bitch." Folk then walked inside his house, he picked up his telephone, called some more of his ranger buddies from the 2nd Ranger Battalion, and invited them over for a barbecue, suggesting it wouldn't hurt if they came armed. With translation, bring your own bullets. Hey guys, let's have a barbecue. Okay, well, yeah, what are we gonna smoke? Just some Crips.
Nice.
Including the few Rangers who were already at the barbecue and the Rangers called, the total of Rangers grew to 15. Folk told them to bring personal weapons and whatever else they had. They came armed to the teeth with handguns, shotguns, and rifles. Folk was armed with a Browning 9mm and a Colt Python 357 Magnum. Fucking Magnum. Who's the gangster now, bitch? Over a couple beers, Folk pitched to his buddies a defensive operation of his home. Stake out locations and wait. No first moves. If police come, disarm immediately, cooperate, and assist. And all of his buddies joyfully agreed and were fucking down. They thought maybe nothing will happen, but if it does, zero tolerance for dudes shooting gats and smoking Swisher Sweets. As the sun went down, the Rangers dispersed into their defensive positions, alert and observant of any and all activity inside and outside the perimeter of the house. A few hours had passed.
I bet they were having a great time, weren't they?
Oh, hell
They're
yeah.
just
Drinking and going, come on, bring it. Bring
Yeah,
it.
wait for these bitches to come out and have a go.
I love it. I love that that's their motto as well. It's Sua Spontona.
Sponte, was it?
Sponte or something
I
like that.
can't remember exactly what it was.
I like it though.
In a lot of ways, this is why I do believe national service should be a thing. I know that was a controversial opinion, but I think if everyone...
But then you're also then literally giving the...
No, I know that it could seem like you're giving an advantage to the people that are scumbags as well, that are going to be scumbags anyway, but they're not going to give a shit. They're not going to train. They're not going to work hard and learn this stuff. They're going to do their time and they're going to get out. But your average citizen, all of that community watch thing that he set up, will all...
I think you underestimate criminals.
Oh, but the military's full of criminals anyway. Lots of people go
true.
to train to be killers, to leave the military with training.
Yeah, true.
That does already happen.
Yeah.
These sort of guys, I don't think are those types of guys.
Well, let's find out what happens.
As the Rangers held their positions, one Ranger observed a vehicle approaching in the distance at a slow rate of speed, at which point the vehicle shut off its headlights. Folk, with his Magnum in hand, returned the favor and turned out the lights in his house and in the yard. At 9:20 p.m., as the vehicle approached, someone within the vehicle fired a shot into the air. The house was now taking fire from the rear, where, according to police reports, small caliber automatic gunfire was heard. The Rangers opened a shit ton of fire, but so did the Hilltop Crips. One of the Rangers, William Edwards, was posted on the front porch. When the shooting started, he hit the ground as a bullet slammed into the wall beside him. He and other Rangers returned fire, seeing figures running amongst parked cars on the other side of the street. Ranger Russell Nolte, posted in the backyard, crawled forward as a shot hit the back of the house 3 feet over his head. Ranger Burr Settles was posted upstairs by the infamous controversial fucking video camera as a shot came through the window. The bullet grazed his head and he received multiple lacerations on his face from the shattered glass. Numerous muzzle flashes were now seen from the east. There were at least 16 shooters in 3 different locations. The Rangers again returned fire, while outside the assailants took cover amongst the parked cars, shooting over their shoulders, ducking down, shooting blindly. You know, stupid shit like that, like gangsters do. At this time, a neighbor taking cover on her kitchen floor dialed 911. And just like the famous Wild West shootout at the OK Corral, it was over in minutes. 10 minutes, to be exact. The first police car came down the middle of the street, cherries and berries on, with his siren blaring. The Rangers dropped their weapons, but as that first patrol car arrived on scene, one of the Hilltop Crip gang members popped a round off, sending the patrol car reversing out of the scene so quickly, smoke was seen coming from the rear tires. Officers in the car reported hearing 50 to 60 shots in less than 1 minute. Shortly after, more cops pulled into the block, and the gangbangers ran. The unarmed staff sergeant walked out the back door to his driveway and the alley behind his house. He felt someone behind and didn't fight. A hand shoved his head down and a voice ordered him to the ground. One gang member by the name of Frankie Strickland was cornered by a police canine and found to be in possession of 16 rounds of 9mm. He said he was holding them for a friend but couldn't remember the friend's name. You know, like a fucking liar. He also said the same thing about the pistol he was carrying. It was for a friend. Another suspect was carrying copper-headed rounds for a gas gun. Once the situation was under control and the officers learned about the Rangers' defensive operation, the responding sergeant of the Tacoma Police Department wasn't too happy about it. He lectured Folk and the other Rangers for not calling the police for assistance until shots were fired.
Yeah, but they'd literally been campaigning, as soon as he got back from that tour, he literally got all the neighbours and they were protesting and the cops literally withdrew.
6 cops down to 2.
Why would you call? And it's like that joke you talk about, when the guy rings to say, oh, there's a burglar, trying to break in.
Yeah.
And the cop goes, oh, we'll be around, when we can.
Yeah.
And then he puts the phone down, picks it up, brings back, goes, I've just killed the guy who's just, entered my property. And literally he had
Cops
6 units within minutes. He goes, where's the body? He's like, no, it's over there. He's trying to break in. It's just like...
If I ever felt it's a shame. Me and my dad were talking about this the other day. They don't seem to see the correlation between police numbers dwindling in this country and crime going up. And it's a pretty basic thing, but now they say there's more cops than ever. But they don't take into account population growth at that point. And they're like, yes, there's more cops than ever. But there's actually shitloads more people than there ever was. Yeah. There's actually less cops per person.
It is.
Pisses me off, this. I was ranting about it.
Oh, it irritates me. It's like Manchester's known as one of the fastest growing industrial cities in the UK.
Yeah.
And we have expanded exponentially. And it's just not enough. There's not enough people.
No, there isn't.
There's not enough cops at all.
If and this is purely hypothetical, but if it was happening at this house, and the first thing I say to the cops is they're armed. Yeah. And if they say armed with what, I'll just say I think it's a gun. Allegedly, not saying I'd do this or I wouldn't do this.
No.
Not coming. It's a joke. It's satire.
Yeah.
But absolutely, I think they've got a gun, and it turns out they're going to get hit in the face with an axe very quickly. If you're not here before that escalates, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We're lucky there's a police station just over there, actually.
I know.
And it's well stocked.
Good.
It's I think we'd be all right. But a lot of places,
don't.
My house is being burgled, and they come around the next day.
I know.
To give you a police number for your insurance company.
No,
it's like, is it an insurance claim, or are you actually trying to protect people?
I know. Well, that's the problem.
I'm getting fired up.
Yes.
I'm getting fired
let's leave
up.
it.
And felt that the situation may have been avoided by calling 911 prior to the shooting getting started. Out of what was quite possibly a 35-man gunfight with over 300 rounds shot in the dark, no one was reported to be killed or injured. For 20 years, the official version of the shootout held that miraculously no one was hurt, but there are rumors injured gang members did not seek medical attention for obvious reasons, and some may have even been mortally wounded. And according to Folk himself, during the firefight, one gang member rushed towards Folk's house. I guess he thought he was gonna John Wayne it, Folk remembered. One of the Rangers took aim and hit the gangster in the shoulder. The attacker staggered back and ran away. The moment goes unmentioned in police reports and witness accounts of the time. Unverified gossip holds that the wounded man was treated at a Seattle area hospital, over an hour away from Tacoma.
Well, you wouldn't go to a hospital.
Doug Sutherland, who was mayor at the time, pondered a declaration of a citywide version of martial law to combat the gang violence that immediately drew national attention. The city of Tacoma found the dollars to add more police officers to their department. Then Governor Booth Gardner even considered sending in the National Guard to Ash Street. The Hilltop Crip gang member who was arrested and found in possession of the 9mm and the pistol, Frankie Strickland, was the only man charged in connection with the shootout. He was convicted of second-degree assault and was later sentenced to 22 months in prison.
Nothing, is it?
The military officially considered the incident a matter of self-defense for the off-duty Rangers. On February 9th, 2010, Tacoma Police and FBI launched a major crackdown on the Hilltop Crip gang and charged 32 members with up to 50 crimes, everything from theft to attempted murder and drug sales. A few years back, a Tacoma police officer said something about the shootout. He said it was the single most important incident in Tacoma that caused a change in police policies and practices. Staff Sergeant William Folk never moved away from Ash Street, and as he predicted, he was never promoted and left the Army in 1993. He still owns the property to this day. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button. There's a lot more of these historical crime breakdowns in the works, and you don't want to miss them. So be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Right. We are starting to wait till the end because we got in trouble for the fat electrician ones.
That was an incredible story. It still breaks my heart that obviously he never really won. But he got a peaceful life. He got his peaceful town, his little area was what he was hoping for. But
he enacted more change than any politician had done in that particular area.
Probably saved hundreds of lives in that street.
Potentially, but I always think when I look at a lot of guys like this, and this isn't a blanket statement across everyone. I know there's all different types of organised criminals and everything like that. It seems like a lot of these guys are the types that are like. They're not gangsters. No. They're just people who don't want to work for a living and don't mind robbing people. And there's a big difference between being a gangster, and actually being like an organised criminal who is making money and doing things.
Maybe.
I'm not justifying any of them, but I'm just saying I think a lot of these guys were probably just work shy, would rather have a gun in the waistband and rob people. I
think a lot of it is circumstantial, like the lives they have, and...
Oh yeah, some people are born into a shit situation where there's no jobs. It's drug dealers on their block. They've not got good positive role models. Yeah, there's loads of things that can lead up to it, and I'm not. And
I think a lot of these people they get into it because it's quite easy to steal. You get a bit of a rush, but actually having a shootout, and I think they feel like they probably need to prove themselves. But as soon as it happens, it's just like whoa. So I'm not surprised like some people just run.
Yeah, how many of these guys end up spending life in prison because of some thing like this where they end up shooting someone and then you've lost your life.
I know.
Forget that 22 months. Like they obviously didn't have much to stick in with really, but I think like prisons are full of guys that were the big man and something happens and they feel offended and then they go and shoot and ask questions later. I watch tons of interrogation footage. I absolutely love watching interrogation footage. I love the psychology side of it, and no one's the big man when they're being interrogated. When people realise that the cops know what they did and can prove it.
Unless it's a psycho killer. Those are the ones that really fascinate me because they honestly don't think they've done anything
That's how I got into the interrogation footage, is the actual psychopaths. I think it was might have been a JCS video that was what a real psychopath looks like. And it's a guy that's just killed people and he's like, so matter of fact and like emotionless.
He'll just explain it in full detail and you're just like...
That's not these guys, though.
No.
These guys are, they're going to live fast and do dodgy things as much as they can until they get caught. and they're either going to get killed or spend the rest of their life in prison.
Yeah.
And it's like, and they will, as much as they're a big man, they will regret it. You know, when you're 60 in prison, it's like I've been here for...
Well, that's why a lot of them appeal, don't they? And try and get...
You've got nothing better to do. If you've got life in prison, what else are you going to do other than study law for that little glimmer of hope that you're going to find a loophole and get out and just appeal constantly? I'd do it. Pretty sure anyone would, because what else are you going to do?
Live a life of luxury, everyone's paying for everything, you just...
I don't think, as much as people say prison's a life of luxury and everything's, you get looked at, I don't think that's the case.
No, probably not.
It's just because people have got PlayStations in prison cells doesn't mean... Would you want to sit in a cell all day, every day, playing a PlayStation?
No, don't. I couldn't even handle lockdown for 2 weeks. I ended up getting a work from home job when I was, like, sat there, because I just couldn't handle it.
I'd probably get shanked because I was playing Elden Ring. Everyone would be like, well, I'm playing FIFA, you shouldn't play FIFA. And I'm like, no, I just need to upgrade. I need a few more runes so I can get that next staff so I can actually try and take... It'd be like... Nerd.
With my shiv.
Yeah, shivved with a shank. Shanked with a shiv. Anyway, right, I hope you guys enjoyed that as well.
Yeah.
It's such a great story.
And I'm loving the documentary kind of things. It's really fascinating.
It's good, isn't it? I thought you'd like that.
I love this.
I am a sucker for movies like this. Like, there's Gran Torino, which I don't know if you've seen. It's kind of...
I feel like I've seen Gran Torino.
A vigilante. It's not a vigilante movie, but it kind of is. Law-abiding citizen is a full-blown vigilante movie.
That's a great movie.
Our version of Gran Torino, for anyone who doesn't know that might be watching from the States...
Law-abiding citizen.
No, that's American.
Oh, right. Okay.
Harry Brown.
Oh, that's a great film.
Harry Brown and Gran Torino came out around the same sort of time.
That's a great film.
And I like to think it's the same story with different endings told in the British perspective and the American perspective.
I see that.
So any Americans watching out there that haven't seen Harry Brown, watch it. It's Michael Caine is Harry Brown.
He's amazing.
It's amazing. But everyone loves a vigilante movie.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Anyway, right, I hope you guys enjoyed that too and we didn't waffle on too much for you. Make sure you like and subscribe as always and we will see you all very, very soon.
Bye, guys.